Hey everybody and welcome to a new One Piece video, this time for the anticipated episode, the present time, the Kuma Punch. One Piece episode 1137, after an incredible finale to the flashback by co-series director Yasunori Koyama, we get a very ambitious episode by another series director on the show, the newly promoted co-series director Wataru Matsumi. I immediately knew from the preview it was Matsumi because of the cool angles present in the preview, as well as his cinematic touches here and there. And as usual, the animation directors alongside him are the Chinese duo Tu Young-soo and Hee Zai-woo. So it's kind of episode 1112 and 1127 staff. Just like the previous episode, Masami Mori is present as training animation director. Now let's get into the episode. The most important feeling this episode should create is satisfaction. When reading the chapter, when revisiting the parallel with Luffy, you feel this once in a while groundbreaking moment in One Piece that is so intense, filled with emotions and satisfaction. Of course, it's also thanks to Oda's amazing art. Sadly, I did not feel this here, and I will get into that in a bit, so stick around till the end because I will highlight three major problems for me after analyzing the episode. Now let's talk about Wataru Matsumi's great and not so great ideas. Despite the ambition, this might have been one of Wataru's least cohesive and fundamentally ideal episodes. Someone who worked on the episode did say he seemed to be having a tough time, so it might be the toll of responsibilities and consistent output after his recent promotion. Despite that, the episode was filled with amazing ideas. The aspect ratio and color choices for the flashback at the beginning was very nice to see. I really love the visual approach when Bonnie hugs Vegapunk, and I found it very beautiful how the necklace light reflection was utilized here. It's just a very gorgeous scene all around. The transition to the present day was also very smooth, and while definitely not bad, things get more average here. It doesn't help when Saturn's voice actor is this boring and lifeless, but the content with the surrounding world looked cool with grand scale thanks to Matsumi's great storyboard, and there were some very cool touches when Saturn reveals the truth to Bonnie, like the fire ring surrounding him making a sound to create tension. And here is a very cool part. It reminds me a bit of Ryota Nakamura and how he handled a villain like Queen in episode 1161. Matsumi gave Saturn his own atmosphere with black and white and shadows, and we get basically another version of the opening shot of Saturn surrounding Bonnie, which isn't surprising considering Matsumi directed both. But I like the idea of the spider web trapping Bonnie. It's a very cool symbolic touch considering the context. I think the content of the chapter is just too restrictive with heavy dialogue as the characters are just standing still for the most part. So I appreciate Matsumi spicing up the dialogue through great visuals. I think the highlight of the episode for me is the Kuma run with the new soundtrack during Bonnie's inner monologue. Amazing build up here, and even the compositing and colors go up a notch. Everything here is just timed right. Matsumi's storyboard is strong for the most part, some unique angles as you'd expect from him. I like the low angle shots, especially the one where the camera slowly goes behind Kizaru's glasses. Sadly, the Saturn shots looked flat, did not give the massive scale episode 1128 provided. Now to the actual punch, I think when Kuma stopped Saturn, the scene here needed more isolation, like putting lighting and spotlight on the two characters through negative space in the background or other techniques. So the fact that it looked normal was just whatever. Normally when such punches are animated, it goes black and white when the punch connects. It doesn't go black and white for one cut and it goes back to normal when it connects. It's basically decreasing the momentum rather than taking it up a notch. So I'm seriously confused by this decision here. I'm also not a fan of how this was storyboarded. For example, the sudden cut to the distant shot kills the momentum of the punch. So yeah, I'm confused, especially with the potential for a parallel with Saboti's punch. I will get into the animation here in a bit. Tu Young-soo and Hee Zai-woo, as expected, gave us consistently amazing animation supervision. I particularly like the Saturn shot with the thick lines. I'm assuming it's Tu's work, because it reminds me of his classic Wano days. I definitely desire stuff like this more often. And now let's get into the key animation. The highlight of the episode's animation for me is Shinnosuke Tanaka's work. the monster animator who did Saturn's transformation, makes a brief return here. It was expected from the preview considering the similarities with the way the Marines were drawn and the tilted ground. Tanaka is the perfect balance of weighty animation but also squiggly lines. Basically a fusion of Ota and Mori considering he worked under both. His explosion effects here are very stylized, some seriously impressive background animation followed by slow motion impact. Kuma landing had incredible effects and art. Kuma's laser beam was also impressive and it reminded me a bit of Tu Young-seo's work for Queen. It's hard to identify the rest of Mori's school on the episode, but the staff really did not allow a single cut in the episode to not look gorgeous. I've spoken about my issues with the punch on a directorial scale, now what I liked and disliked about its animation. The Saturn close-ups were very nice, but I found wasted potential in the black and white cut. It needed more smears and exaggeration. It was too intense in the manga and it just asked for this. I expected that at least from someone who worked alongside Ishizuka many times before, so it was weird to see. The actual punch also lacked weight. It felt very weak, almost as if Kuma's fist is merely pushing Saturn's face. Most of the close-up cuts would have benefited from black and white and more effects and smears, like the black and white cuts in the previous episode, or the iconic Hisashi punch. I also thought in many cuts that the art on Kuma was just alright. It's far from bad, but it didn't meet the expectations. Maybe Ora's art is just too good to nail well. Overall, it's still good, but it left too much to be desired in my personal opinion. Now, to summarize the three general issues I had with the episode. Number one, pacing would have been better if the opening wasn't removed. Number two, switching back to normal colors when the punch connects is a very bad move in my opinion. Number three, more isolation and atmosphere was needed right before the punch. It looked average. Lastly, the soundtracks chosen for the most part, except the new soundtrack, were a bit poor or just whatever. There were so many overused tracks that were used in many old arcs, and that should wrap this up. My opinion could change for the better or worse on it with time, but for now it's an episode with severe wasted potential in my opinion. Kind of like episode 1072. Such episodes hurt the most because the resources are available to make it an all-timer. This is my honest, unfiltered opinion. Whether you agree or disagree, let me know and tell me why. Overall, still an above average episode that looked absolutely stunning, and I appreciate the hard work of the staff. So, thanks for watching, like and subscribe. See you next time.